So here's the plan for the chapter called The Best Christmas Present in the World. This chapter is from class 8 NCRT English book. So how you begin the plan is that you start with the identification of data. Here what you need is to write the name of the school, subject, class, name of the lesson, number of students, name of the textbook, duration of the class, and your own name. So this makes up the identification of data, after which we come to the general objectives. So in our college, according to the format they have given us, we are asked to write 6 objectives. So I have mentioned 6 here, but according to your format, you can write any amount of objectives you need. Now next we come to the teaching aids. Here we have 2 teaching aids to mention. First is the general teaching aid and second is specific teaching aids. So in general teaching aids we mention blackboard, chalk, duster, pointer, textbook, all the things that you needed while teaching. And second is the specific teaching aids, which could be different depending on what kind of TLM you use. So here I have written a chart showing the main parts of the lesson because this is what I have used during my practice teaching period. And then next comes the introduction. In this part you have to make 4 columns, one for step, one for assume previous knowledge, teacher's activity, and pupil's activity. Here we are going to mention the questions which we are going to ask during introduction. Here I have mentioned 5 questions that I have used during my practice teaching period, and you can also use them if you're also writing the lesson plan on this chapter. So now comes the announcement of the topic, where the teacher, after getting the name of the topic from the students, announces the name of the chapter, and right after starts with the presentation. So for this part we have 6 columns on the step, teaching points, specific objectives, teacher's activity, pupil's activity, and learning outcomes. So we start with writing a little bit about the author, just giving a brief introduction about the author. Then we go ahead with model reading, loud reading, silent reading. Since the subject is English, so model reading, loud reading, silent reading is extremely necessary for this subject. Next we come to word meanings. Here I have mentioned 3 word meanings. You can get these word meanings from the book itself, and if you want you can add more, but generally we use 3 or 5 word meanings. Next comes the part of explanation. It's when the teacher actually starts to explain the lesson. So here we mention and we just summarize the story in a very brief manner. And then we come to the questioning, where the teacher, after being done with the explanation, asks a few questions to the students. So I have mentioned 4 questions here, actually 5. The 5th one is in the next page, so you can write these questions on your plan. So here's the 5th question, and the answers are also written beside each of the questions, so you can write them all down. And after being done with the presentation part, we come to the closure, which is the final part of the entire lesson plan. So it contains 3 columns: the step, teacher's activity, and pupil's activity. So in this part, which is called the closure, the teacher actually gives a summary of the entire chapter that she taught, and she writes the main point on the blackboard. So here, this is what we have written, that the teacher will briefly summarize the poem and write the main points on the blackboard, and then we just write about the whole chapter in brief. After this, the teacher used to ask 1 or 2 questions to the students. So I have mentioned 2 questions here, and the answers are also written here by the side of the questions. So after being done with the questions, we go to the part called homework. So I have given a homework here which says, what are the things you keep in mind when you buy presents for others? But there is another homework that you can give. It is write a summary on the chapter called The Best Christmas Presents in the World. So like you could ask your students to write a summary on the chapter, and that could also be a good homework. And the last thing you need to mention in your plan is that what is written here. As you can see, it says, after thanking the class, the teacher will clean the blackboard and leave the classroom. So after you're done writing this, your entire chapter is closed. I hope you find this helpful. If you like the video, please leave it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe and share. Thank you so much, guys.